Now comes the final stage before we run and see the output. Inside the component, we will have to make few changes where we are dispatching the action. Let's straight away make those changes. I will first of all go to the purchase component. Now I'm not going to import this action, so I will comment the purchase action and I'm going to import the purchase action that is being exported in the product slice. Let me open the product slice once again. Here we have exported the purchase and delete item. So here inside the purchase component, I'm going to import that. So I'll say import purchase from store/product slice. The next thing is we already have this object, and here you see that we have dispatch method in which we are passing the object. Now this I'm going to comment and I'm going to dispatch the action creator way. That is, I'm going to write the function purchase and inside this I'm going to pass this obj. Now let me also inform you here that whatever you pass inside this purchase or maybe the action creator, that is passed as a payload. In the previous session also I mentioned that the payload is like this, no capital L, which I have written in my example, but that's fine. So payload is written like this. That means by default when you pass this obj, this goes to the slice with payload.object. And that's the reason why if you see the product slice, here I just say action.payload or maybe action.payload.price. It depends on whether you have the direct value passed or you have the object. If it is an object, then you are going to say payload dot whichever key which is a part of the object literal. So now this component is done, nothing else, there is no more change we have to do. Let's also go to the card.js. Here also I'm going to comment this delete action, or we can remove also. Let's remove this. And I'm going to import the delete item from again the product slice. And this dispatch is not needed, but let's keep it as it is for the moment. We have this index and price object. So what I will do, I'll just say dispatch the delete item, and in the bracket I pass the same object, that is index and price. So that is also done. The total component doesn't need any change because there is no action getting dispatched. But inside login, let me first of all comment this validate user import. At the moment in this component there is an asynchronous process happening, but I'm going to stop that for the moment because there will be a different way of handling the asynchronous code. So here I'm making the synchronous login first of all, then we will check the application output and then we will move to asynchronous as well. But here I'm going to say import the user login, that's the one which we created from the store and the login slice. The next thing is I'm going to comment this dispatch also, and I'll write dispatch the user login and I'm passing the login detail. This means this login detail will be part of payload. So I'll go to login slice. Here I have written action.login detail, but I'll have to write action.payload. That's it. So now the login component, the purchase component and the cart component, all three components are updated with the code. Now let's save everything and I'll go to the output. Now I can select manager, you see, end user. I can select the values from the product list and I can remove that. The total is also getting updated. So all the functionalities are now working the way it was working with Redux, but the only difference is now this code is with the Redux toolkit. There is still the asynchronous portion missing, so that we will see in the coming sections. Let's discuss relative questions. The first question is explain the dispatch action flow with Redux toolkit. So when you are working with Redux toolkit, this is how you are going to configure. So whenever we have the actions, we define it like this. and then we always have the actions which we destructure, and then we import these actions wherever we need it. So like in our case, inside the purchase, we have imported the purchase action, and then you use the dispatch, and inside that you actually call the purchase function. And if at all you have some information, that is payload, you want to pass, you can certainly do that, and this is going to call the reducer function. So this is how you configure the dispatching the action. The second question is, how will you pass and access the payload? So as I mentioned, this is how you pass it. This is optional actually. If you do not pass, nothing will be inside the payload. But when you have the, for example, object here, that means this will be passed to a parameter. So in the reducer, it will look something like this.